Tryna say I'm only enemy. Got a code with my dogs, can't get in between. I can give them life, no more energy. Amen. Amen.
What's up, everybody? Will and JJ here. As always, we got some great game twos yesterday. We got some more game twos today. Today we got the Lakers and Timberwolves as the late game. And then before that, OKC against Memphis. Not as excited about that one. And then for that one, the Bucks and Pacers. Before we get into all that, I just want to complain real quick about Jalen Brunson. I'm all for respecting the skill of the foul baiters, like the Shea, DeMar DeRozan, Joel Embiid. If a defender's not doing something they're supposed to, punish them. But the stuff that Jalen Brunson was doing, man, it was way past that last game. And I know the Pistons got more fouls called for them last game. The refs just weren't great as a whole. But it makes an enjoyable player not enjoying to watch. So I honestly might make a whole video complaining about that, maybe for short form, but I had to get that off my chest real quick. But
yeah, we don't come watch playoff basketball just to go watch people foul bait. That's not what the game is about.
Dude, the one where Thompson beat him to the spot and then they called the foul on him, that made me so mad. And then the other one where Brunson was basically grabbing his arm as he was running by and then got the foul, only for the refs not to overturn that. Oh, it made me so mad. But today we got hopefully some more ethical hoops. We'll kick things off with the Bucks game. And big news, Damian Lillard should be playing today. We don't know how limited, whether by minutes or usage it'll be. I'm expected to be a little limited. I mean, it's not like he twisted his finger and was still doing conditioning the whole time. He had an actual medical stuff going on. But it is the playoffs. He is important. He's going to be Damian Lillard as much as he can be tonight. How much are we expecting that things to change in this series now that he's back?
Adding another scorer next to Giannis, I think is significant in my opinion. You know, obviously all these role players decided not to show up and not hit their open threes. The Pacers admitted it after the game, saying, yeah, we know we left these guys open to wall off Giannis, and they're not going to shoot like this the entire series. And I feel like when we talked about in the last video the other day, everything that could go wrong for the Bucks went wrong. So I think there's going to be some positive regression here shooting, and I think Dame is going to be a big part of that. So there should be even more floor spacing for these role players. But, I think this Dame's doing a little bit of chirping with
He's
Tyrese
ready. He's been waiting. I think he would have rested another game if it wasn't for that chirping. I think it wasn't going to come back until game 3, but Hallie got under his skin a little bit too much, and now Dame's like, no, I got to come back today. I don't care what it's going to take.
I hope we see Dame time.
And Miles Turner does not defend the high pick and roll well, by the way. That was a huge thing when Dame was going crazy in the playoffs last year. Obviously, the Pacers still took that series, but Miles Turner's just lost on the high pick and roll. So if Dame is even 70% of himself in this game, it's going to change things pretty drastically in terms of the trajectory of the series. On top of, like you said, role players making them more shots, and Giannis, he's so fucking good, dude. It's not even just, he scores 30 points. He scores, and you're like, there's nothing we could have done. He's just that dominant when he gets the ball inside. So I think the Bucks bounce back and take this one. If they don't, I think it's going to be a dogfight. I don't think the Pacers are going to handle them as simply as they did last game, especially because the Bucks wanted to try and make the whole Brook Lopez and their normal lineup and everything work, but it doesn't. And even Giannis in the postgame, he said, that small ball lineup that they had going, that was what brought them back into the game. We thought that that's how it was going to be coming in. So now that that's already been shown, I think Brook Lopez's minutes is going to go down. Kuzma can't do what he did last game. If he does, he's not going to get many minutes. Taurean Prince, he has had his own issues. So they have 5 to 6 guys that aren't a problem, that they can play more minutes. It's just a matter of Doc Rivers pulling his pants up and actually making that decision.
Yep.
Yeah, are you in the Bucks train in this one, or?
I
think
am on the
it's
Bucks train.
all right.
There's
So
only
you
so
got
much credit you can give to that Pacers defense, and they know it. So
not a good
gotta go
defense.
Bucks here.
Not a good defense.
No.
So Bucks bounce back in game 2. We're hoping to see it. The next game, OKC against Memphis. Obviously a 51-point blowout in game 1. Can't say I'm expecting that again, but I'm definitely not expecting a close game. If it is, I'll be pleasantly surprised. I just don't think the Grizzlies have it in them. They don't match up well size-wise. They don't match up well coaching and game plan-wise. They don't have that dog in them the same way that OKC does. They're just so much better prepared. And if you're not willing to run out and transition in a playoff game as the Memphis Grizzlies, then it's just never going to happen. You shouldn't have to have somebody tell you and show you, hey, you have to run and transition in high stakes games in the playoffs. So if we're at that point, then we got bigger issues than winning a game against OKC Thunder if I'm the Memphis Grizzlies franchise here.
Yeah. With the Grizzlies, it looks like the coach finally learned his lesson a little bit. He finally took Edie out of the game in the third quarter, like 2.5 minutes in. Bagley, he's just, I say he's a solid like stretch 4/5, but I think it allows them to switch a little bit more, which they did some. But by the time it got there, the game was already over. It's like 30-40 point lead at that point. So it didn't really matter. But I think that scheme with switching will probably be a little bit more successful than this Zach Edey sitting there in super drop coverage and still getting beat to the rim. Bagley does get his offensive rebounds. He does get putbacks. Like I said, he can stretch the floor. I think he'll be much more useful here. And he played like the entire third quarter, pretty much once he came in, at least the rest of it. And then came out with the starter, so didn't play the fourth quarter at all. I think he's going to be a pivotal piece for this Memphis team to at least get some sort of spark going.
I didn't realize they went away from the starters this early in the rotation. Bagley came in at the 10-minute mark of the third quarter.
Yeah.
I think the OKC definitely surprised them, putting Chet on Edey and Hartenstein on Jaren Jackson to start the game, because I know I wasn't expecting that.
Nobody was.
So maybe they come out with more of a game plan now that they know that's a possibility. I don't think it'll matter, but that's really the only way I can see Edey staying on the court here. Because, this coach seems very stubborn about playing Edey minutes, at least up until last game.
Yeah, that's why he won't be the coach going into next season.
You do not like this guy, do you?
I don't.
I will say I do like the fact that he's leaning into the Ja Morant pick and roll a lot more. I think people have gotten a wrong narrative about Ja Morant on the court because of off the court stuff, but he is still that guy. You want the ball in his hands as much as possible. Just look at the Nuggets with the new coach. Like, yeah, we're just going to spam pick and rolls with Jamal Murray and Jokic and see how that goes, and that's been working. I think this is more or less the same. It's just instead of Jokic, you have Zach Edey. So that's a very big difference. But that's really all I have to say on that one. I'm still expecting OKC to pack it up. 15, 20, 25-point game here. It's just a matter of how long can Memphis last before it gets out of hand.
Yeah.
The only other thing I talk about is they got to do something with Jaren Jackson. You can't
just put him in the corner and say, all right.
No. You're one of the few teams in the NBA that can match OKC in the double big lineup and attack them with it, especially if they're not going to put Chet on him and they put Hardenstein on him. You have to take advantage of that because Ja Morant has to deal with Lou Dort and Casey Wallace and Caruso. Same with Desmond Bane. You're fighting an uphill battle already there. You might as well go to your one guy that's pretty much always going to be a mismatch. So that's the one thing that if Jaren Jackson has like a 30-point game and they give him big usage, it's their only hope, in my opinion, of surprising anybody. But the last game, probably the most anticipated game of the night, Lakers, Timberwolves. Timberwolves packed them up in a 22-point win. Last game pretty much had control of the whole game. Luka Doncic, surprisingly, only 1 assist, but did also have 37 points. What's your big things you're looking for here?
Cleaning up the Lakers' defensive rotations, it was very sloppy. A lot of miscommunication. That's why Naz Reid had so many open corner threes, even in transition. You know, obviously they got exposed transition to wide open threes. I mean, yeah, some of those wide open threes were scheme, some were rotations. They clean up the rotations part. I think we see a much closer game here. DFS has to get more involved on offense from the perimeter, I think, but that involves the Lakers being able to beat those switches when they force a switch. I think they have to get some dribble penetration, which is probably going to be relied on by Austin Reeves because they are playing drop against him. So if they can do that, I think they can open some things up.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think there's that much that changes in this game from game one. Because if you look
Yeah.
at the numbers, if both teams shot their average numbers from three, I think both teams have around 90 points. I think it was really just about execution in that game. I think, like you said, they're going to be cleaning up some things. I don't think there's going to be changing anything. Like there was some plays
Yeah.
in the Lakers rotation where LeBron is the fourth guy to the ball. He has no business collapsing into the paint. He's not coming to rotate on a center or anything, but he just leaves Randall open in the corner because Ant's driving to the basket. And I do like the plan of walling up on Ant when he puts the ball on the floor and tries to drive. But if you're going to do it with the right guys. LeBron has no business being in that spot. There was another one where Ant was driving past Luka, and Rui was the only help on the strong side of defending his man in the corner. And Rui helped so much that he was basically standing behind Luka. So he almost basically wasn't even in help at that point. He was just a second defender standing right behind where Luka was. So then it
Yeah.
left his guy open in the corner. So I do expect those corner looks and threes to still come. I just don't expect it to be as wide open as it was because the reality is if you want to bank on Jaden McDaniels and Naz Reid scoring 40 to beat you, you'd much rather do that than letting Anthony Edwards score 35 to beat you because Anthony Edwards is more likely to reach that mark than the other two. So I do think the Lakers keep with the same game plan. I think they just clean up the execution a lot. On the Timberwolves side, there's not much to clean up. When you're the team that wins by 20, you kind of don't want to change a lot. Rudy
And they came
Gobert
with the
didn't
right game plan as well.
exactly. And Rudy Gobert didn't play much. I think I have it here.
It was like
He only played 24
24.
minutes.
Yep.
A lot of people thought he was getting played off the court for small ball. He got 3 fouls in the first half. Luka forced a bunch of fouls on him. It'll be interesting to see what the rotation will be if he's not in foul trouble, especially because Jackson Hayes is not playing. Like Jackson Hayes played 8 minutes, 2 minutes, not even 2 minutes in the second half before he came out, and they never put him back in. The Lakers clearly realized very quickly it wasn't going to work, and they took him out. So the question will be now, how much are they willing to use Rudy Gobert against a team that really doesn't use the center for 40-plus minutes of the game? I don't have the answer for it. You guys know where I stand on it. If you've watched previous videos, I think Rui's going to be fine. They're going to try and play him as much as possible. But if the Lakers come out and punch him in the mouth and go up 15, who knows what adjustments we see.
Nope.
All right, let's get to the bets.
Let's get to it.
All right, so this is how we're using our boost on FanDuel. We're starting off with Damian Lillard, 15-plus points. You can't disrespect the guy. I think his normal line is 17.5 points. I understand he might be limited like 24, 25 minutes, but it's Dame time. It's the playoffs. He's already chirping. There's already animosity with this team, and we know they don't defend that high pick and roll well that he loves to attack on. So 15 points, he can get that in the first half if he's really clicking. And the next one is Gary Trent Jr. Obviously, the Pacers want to wall up on Giannis. Not only did they allow a lot of open threes last game that they got away with, but the coach actually talked about wanting to wall up on Giannis more. They said they didn't do a good enough job of walling up on Giannis. So I think Gary Trent is going to be needed in this one for the Bucks if they do want to take one here in Indiana. And then our third pick is the Lakers -5.5 spread. It's partly a system play, taking the home team as a favorite in game 2 after losing game 1, especially in the fashion that they did. I think it's like 62% on the spread or something like that in recent years. So we're banking on that. But on top of that, like we said, last game would have been very close if both teams just shot their normal marks. It wasn't like there was crazy turnovers and bad execution and stuff like that. So I think there's going to be some regression to the mean. There's going to be some cleaning up of the execution from the Lakers side. They're going to look at on the film, and I think they're going to come back and steal game 2 at home here. So plus 412, 30% boost. Use what you can on it, what they allow you to. And make sure you guys like and subscribe if you haven't already. JJ, appreciate you jumping on as always, and we'll see you guys on the next video.